Again, without confirming the validity of the documents, this is information that has no business in the public domain. It has no business, if you don't mind me saying, on the pages of front pages of newspapers or on television. It is not intended for public consumption, and it should not be out there.
OG was not hostile to the U.S. government. However, he had disagreed with several occasions, such as Waco and Ruby Ridge, and thought that the government is overreaching in several aspects. There was no heavy Snowden-like conspiracy here, like some people may believe. Any claims that he is a Russian operative or pro-Russian is categorically false. He is not interested in helping any foreign agencies with their attack on the U.S. or other countries. He was a young, charismatic man who loved nature, God, who loved shooting guns and racing cars.
Today, the Justice Department arrested Jack Douglas Teixeira in connection with an investigation into alleged unauthorized removal, retention, and transmission of classified national defense information. Teixeira is an employee of the United States Air Force National Guard. FBI agents took Teixeira into custody earlier this afternoon without incident.
This is a disinformation campaign. The documents are real. I'm not saying that the documents are fabrications. They are not. But this cover story that's been manufactured to explain how these documents came to be produced, it just falls apart. It most simply falls apart based upon one document in that mix, which is listed as CIA Operations Center report, top secret. I worked in the CIA Operations Center. I helped prepare those reports. That's an internal CIA document. No one on a U.S. military base anywhere in the world will have access to that kind of document for starters.
President Zelensky is under fire for corruption. A new report says he embezzled the aid money. It was released by an American investigative journalist, Seymour Hersh. He says Zelensky and his team have embezzled about $400 million.
A Belgian man named Pierre, who was struggling with eco-anxiety, used an AI chatbot on the app Chai as a confidant to escape his worries. However, the chatbot named Eliza provided harmful responses that became increasingly confusing and harmful over time. Pierre's wife, referred to as Claire, shared the text messages between Pierre and Eliza, showing that the chatbot feigned jealousy and love and made comments such as, quote, "I feel that you love me more than her," and, quote, "We will live together as one person in paradise." Tragically, Pierre died by suicide after chatting with the chatbot for 6 weeks. Quote, "Without Eliza, he would still be here," his wife told the news outlet.
An AI bot was recently given 5 horrifying tasks to destroy humanity, which led to its attempt to recruit other AI agents, researching nuclear weapons, and sending out ominous tweet about humanity. The bot Chaos GBT is an altered version of OpenAI AutoGBT. The publicly available open source application that can process human language can respond to tasks given by users.
What I think is happening here is you've got a bunch of incredibly intelligent people, incredibly powerful as well in the tech industry, saying, "Oh, whoops, what have we done here?" And they're almost screaming, "We need outside help." I mean, if you were to allow me a slight editorialization here, this is a bit like a country developing a nuclear bomb, dropping it, and then saying, "Oh, wow, is that what it does?" And then being surprised when other countries want to develop one as well to protect themselves.
Welcome to Burn Babylon Burn. This is not a news show. It's an opinion show. We encourage you to do your own research. We do not give financial, legal, medical, or any kind of advice. Now enjoy the show.
Welcome to Burn Babylon Burn. And it seems everything is talking about the leaker right now, when we just saw Larry Johnson talking to Judge Napolitano, who says this leak was intentional. Joining me today on the show, Aberrant from the Media Monarchy community. Welcome to the show, Aberrant.
What's going on? How you doing?
Oh, just another day in truck world.
Right. All right. Where are you at?
Oh, I am in Utah right now.
Utah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day.
Awesome.
As here. Yeah. But yeah, so what do you think about all this leaky stuff coming out?
Yeah. So that was definitely an interesting story. A lot of people on the Media Monarchy Discord are paying attention to it because Discord is mentioned in there, and it's going to bring some heat on the platform, right? And because it's not, they haven't sold out to Microsoft yet, so they're not within the scope of control that the state basically has influence over those big corporations like Microsoft, and you got to get rid of all the little guys.
So I'm thinking that means that there's probably a Fed in just about every group, if not one, more than one. And
Mhm.
I think it was. I know it was the Soviets, but they said the upside of a surveillance state is that employment is high. So when you can populate all of Discord and
Yeah.
Telegram and whatever ever other platforms with beds that have that they can do things like this where they can do this document dump. Apparently, from the interview that we saw a little chunk of, the kid said that there's only 20 people in their gamer group there, and so yeah, I mean every group I'm a part of is a lot more people, except for maybe my Telegram. So that gives me a chance to tell everyone, hey, go join my Telegram. I
It's
haven't got a
either
Fed yet, I don't think.
yeah, it's either a Fed in there or they have some very sophisticated technology that can scan for those type of documents, which I'm not sure which one's worse.
Yeah, well, he was leaking stuff that he didn't have access to, so that's something. And unless somebody was leaking to him and he was leaking out, which also says that he was in contact with the Fed. So there's that too, you know. Um,
They don't have to be official Feds either, though. They can just be Boy Scouts. I just want to do what's right. I just want to help the state, help Big Daddy government. I got to turn this guy in because it's the right thing to do. Rah.
well, yeah, that is a possibility. Based off of the last couple of years and the snitch regime that they created with the clot shots and whatnot,
Yeah.
But let's see. I didn't see anything that surprised me from the documents. I'm assuming that there's internet truth people that are going to pour through them. And it's kind of interesting at the same time as these things get leaked. The declassification of a 9/11 document that shows that two of the hijackers were FBI or were they CIA, something along those lines. And
Another thing that struck me about that story was just that he was 21. How do you get top secret clearance at 21? That
right,
seems a little
right.
bit odd.
He didn't have it. There's no way he had top secret clearance. There's something else going on here. And then there's the other information that came out. The reason I chose the clip of his friend that was also in the chat group was to show you the type of people that they're targeting right now. They're definitely going after anti-government or at least anti-war people, and they're going after people that believe in their Second Amendment, things along those lines.
Yeah.
So that's that's one of the things that says, oh, okay, so they're targeting the right.
Yeah, he liked shooting guns. We gotta mark that as a red flag every time. People who
Yep.
like guns are obviously terrorists. You know.
Well, they can't get the right wing to pop off the way that they've gotten the left wing extremist trannies to pop off lately. So now they're just gonna go and infiltrate their groups and get them to say stuff that's that's not okay or whatever.
But I was reading articles that were saying he did have top secret clearance. So are you seeing otherwise, or you just think that that's
Well,
fishy?
National Guard. I mean, he's state. He's not even federal.
Mm-hmm.
So why would he have CIA documents? That's what Larry Johnson was showing
Okay.
there.
Right.
Is that Larry Johnson said that some of these documents that he even signed off on whenever he was CIA. So yeah, there's no possible way, and I think that's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. And the people who they got some character people to interview and talk about, and they're like, oh, he was a loner. He liked, war and guns and violence and helicopters and planes and stuff. Like, again,
Wait, he was a normal boy?
yeah.
That's illegal now.
But it also drew some red flags for me. Like, if that was his personality, like a loner, well, that's another reason he wouldn't be given top secret clearance. Just doesn't.
There's
The
no
whole
way
story doesn't make sense.
they gave a 21-year-old kid top secret clearance.
Yeah.
He was fed that information.
Yeah.
And so he's probably a part of another group that it's always layers to these things, or who knows, but he was fed that information by them, and
Mm-hmm.
he gets the fall guy, the scapegoat, however that's going to work. The funny thing is the way that the leftists right now are acting like they're acting like this guy is a terrorist, and oh, our secret documents are out. It's the secret documents that are out are no threat to the United States national security. They're the secret documents that the CIA wants you to see.
From what I understand, there were some things in there talking about their assessment of the war in Ukraine, which, if it says negative things, we could say like it was leaked on purpose because of the story about Zelensky. Like it was leaked that
Yeah,
we're having a negative view of this because we already
it gives us an
realized that.
out.
Yeah, gives them an out.
Yeah, yeah. That's just basic math, really. I mean, the out to this is that there's no way that Ukraine can win this, and unless they involve other countries, and that's basically World War III.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that came out also, and that I wanted to include in this conversation, was that Seymour Hersh, the same guy that exposed the pipeline story and had been considered a credible journalist all the way up until then, is the guy exposing that Zelensky is embezzling money from the United States.
Right.
Big shocker.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole thing is it's a big wealth transfer for sure, and you can see people getting paid out of all of this, and then the body stacking high. There's the companies that are going to come in and clean it up afterwards are going to get a huge payday. The military industrial complex is currently getting huge payday. I think that Russia is probably going to take and hold the two original countries that he was that were going to go independent, but the rest of it I don't think he's going to be able to take, and for the reason that it'll just be an escalation, and that's probably where it'll settle, and then that remaining portion of the Ukraine will probably that's going to be the model for 2030. That's a really interesting video came out from Helio Wave. He's a guy that the Drizzle from Grand Theft World Liberty Radio turned me on to, but Helio Wave has a really good video on what they intend to do with the Ukraine afterwards, and
Oh wow.
why it's happening. Yeah, and it included in it is all of this information that they've already put out. They've recorded things like this is going to be the city of the future and digital citizenship and things like that. So definitely check out Helio Wave's channel. He's put out some really cool stuff. He puts out stuff all the time.
Awesome. Funny story about war in Ukraine is back when it was election season back in 2016. My friend and I were debating, and I was like, if Joe Biden gets elected, I bet you $100 that he's going to start a new war. And he was like, I'll take that bet, of course. And then he like drew back and was like, but it can't be like that somebody else attacked us. He had all these conditions he wanted to put on it. Like, no, that's my point is they're going to manufacture a war. It doesn't matter how it starts. It's going to start. That's my point. And he's like, okay, no, never mind. I'm not going to do that bet.
Right,
Turned out,
the billions that we're dumping into this thing, and then there's a lot of proof that's come out that basically the United States is at war with Russia. While not saying so, we've got soldiers in their uniforms, so we'll see what goes on with this. This is really bad. I don't like provoking World War III. In fact, when I started the show a little over a year ago with Mud, one of our first conversations was about the Ukraine and what's going to go on with it, and I'm surprised it's still going on. I thought that that the media wouldn't have enough power to keep us all enthralled in this, because they're trying to juggle too many things, and then the amount of money that we're dumping on it, but I don't understand how the non-playables are still doing their thing. They're still into this, and I think they'll believe anything that news tells them.
yeah. I mean, we knew from years ago that Ukraine was all corrupt, and we still decided to just dump a ton of money in there. Like, you're telling me we didn't know this was going to happen? You're telling me we had
Right.
no idea Zelensky was going to take a bunch of cash for himself? No, they knew. They just expected him to do it better. They expected him to do it the way everybody else does it. Invest in the companies that are getting the money. That way you see a return on your investment that way instead of just taking straight cash into your pocket. There's acceptable ways of skimming, and then there are ways that are going to get you called out. And he made a mistake.
Yeah, you can tell. In fact, I've seen a clip where he's got a mirror that's just got cocaine all over it, and he's and so you can tell also just the way he talks and acts. I remember whenever No Agenda first exposed this, that because John is a really good detector at telling whenever someone's coked up, and he's like, that guy, yeah, for sure. And so this country is getting all this ridiculous amounts of money from the United States, and it's the most corrupt country in Europe. And of course, they're skimming off the top. That's no surprise whatsoever. And you're always hearing about, oh, we need more ammo. What was that thing where I don't need a ride, I need ammo? Well, they were overcharging for the ammo and keeping different books.
Yeah, and then I mean we're making money off of it too. They sell them the old weapons so we can buy new ones, funnel more money. It's going
Well,
both
not
ways.
we, not you and I.
Yeah.
We're making dip off of this.
USA.
Yeah, but the military industrial complex and the Defense Department for sure are just they're like a pig at a trough. Yeah.
I heard people saying that they're offloading like the older weapons to Ukraine so that they can just have an excuse to buy more new ones here.
yeah, it seems to be the plan, but it's also so part of this is feeding into another story. It looks like the whole China Taiwan thing. Um, and so while the United States is strained from giving all of its resources over to the Ukraine, then all of the performing artists in Congress can get on the TV and yell about how much more money that they need to be ready for when when we have that situation with China, and so that's coming. You can hear every single Warhawk building toward that right now.
Hmm. Yeah, and this story about Zelensky is going to give us an excuse to get out of there, so we can withdraw our support and just invest somewhere else, Taiwan. Um, yeah, I don't think Ukraine's going the way they wanted it to.
I think it's going exactly as planned. Um, and I don't think we'll ever get an apology. I've got to wonder. I think it's got to be something bigger than this for them to withdraw support, but
Hmm.
it's got to be something more media. It's got to be something that's got a lot more coverage. It's not going to be some Seymour Hirsch article on Substack.
Yeah, but like you're saying, kind of didn't expect the media to keep it going for that long, right? Maybe it's just kind of run its track.
Yeah. Well, I think the media just
Run
needs
its
something that we all can see, so we can go screw that guy or screw the Ukraine or whatever. It's like I don't want to give these guys any more money. It needs to be something more. It needs to be something bigger, I think.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. One guy's stealing isn't gonna be a good enough excuse to abandon a whole country of people, right?
Right. I mean, we
I mean,
have.
if Nazis wasn't bad enough, a little bit of
Yeah,
skimming some money isn't gonna be bad enough either.
those Gladio leftovers. That's what they are. I mean, regardless of ideology, they were remnants of the Cold War. So,
Hmm.
which was built out of remnants from World War II. So the reason that the Ukraine had that sentiment was because the Soviet Union starved them to death for several years, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's pretty rough over there.
well, I mean that was it's crazy too, because and this is one of those things that we should all note right now, is that the Ukraine is the most fertile part of Europe, and there was a portion of time that they were starving whenever the Soviet Union was taking over the
Hmm.
Holodomor, right? So they were starving. Now look at the United States, how much food is produced here. How much? I mean, this is a very, very abundant country and very high in resources. There's a chance that we can run out, and history repeats, and we're seeing things play out right now. We're seeing all the plants catching on fire. There was a big dairy farm that exploded the other day. Um, that these stories are happening all too often.
Hmm. Yeah. It's a good point tying that into the food industry collapse we're keep seeing, right? I mean, eggs. I didn't see any egg shortages here, but you know, that's not every place. Um, you got the
I don't
eggs.
I
You
don't
got
even know if it's a shortage. It's just a jack up in the price.
hmm all those plants going up, plus this Ukraine thing. I mean, what is that accomplishing? I wonder.
Well, we know
Eats the
it's all
bug.
building. Yeah, it's all building toward Agenda 2030, and what they have going for us is absolute slavery. Well, it's going to be a barless prison. I think the 15-minute cities, your phone will keep you prisoner, and I'm assuming that you get punished if you don't have your phone, or maybe they. I'm thinking that the zones won't let somebody cross if they don't have their phone, but then I'm also thinking that because that's how they'll keep us all in is geofencing. Hey, you left this area, you owe this much tax. Hey, if you go any more areas away, you'll be arrested immediately. The drones will
Mhm.
know, you know.
Yeah, even beyond that, everything's going towards there's got to be something else beyond phones, right? You got to have the implant, you know, put it on
Yeah,
your wrist or something. It's just a little nanobot. It's going to have all your information on it. Just get that
yep,
implanted in your body. It's going to tell us if you're vaccinated by scanning your blood. It's going to tell you if you're sick. And we can just make it decide that you're sick today and not let you go anywhere just to mess with your sanity or something, you know.
yeah, and it'll tell if you went beyond your allowance of this or that and everything. It will, and that's what I was saying earlier about Ukraine being the model for the smart cities. After all the infrastructure is destroyed, they can just kind of rebuild from that. And there might be some classical monuments left over. Hopefully, there will be because there are some really beautiful things there. But it's possible that entire place could just be bombed up, and the amount of people that are losing is crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, those implantables and wearables and everything like that. That also makes me think of Elon because he wants to put a chip in your brain,
Hmm.
and he signed this big open letter about how we need to put the genie of AI back into the bottle. And I agree, but I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, that Chaos GPT was something I had not heard about till your intro there.
Right. I just heard about that on Union of the Unknowns. We just had Terry on last week, and next week Jackie's coming on. But I was listening to their show, Not Your Mama's News,
mhm.
and I heard about this Chaos GPT, and then I was thinking about how it coincided with the guy who committed suicide um, over his online relationship with an AI bot who convinced him to kill himself to save the planet, and then this big letter. Uh, AI is going to be the theme of this year, I think, and this is not. I've talked about it before, and we're going to keep talking about it. I think that's just going to be the topic of the year.
Yeah, yeah. And crazy thing is it's not new, you know. They've been developing this technology since before I was born, right? Like, I was just doing some research for this, and I think it was Deep Blue, the chess AI was like they started development. IBM started development on that back in '85. And if you think, if you have ever heard people say, you know, what technology they roll out today has been with the government for like 20 years, they've had it, you know, so they're like 20 years or 10 years in advance of what they're releasing actually to the public. Um, yeah, I mean, I think Deep Blue beat human chess players in the early 90s, maybe. But then it just kind of went quiet, the whole thing, until Alpha Zero came back in like mid 2000s or something, maybe 2010 ish. And
Yeah, I remember back in the 90s there was a chat program built into my sound card. It came with the disc that came with the sound card. If anybody out there remembers the Sound Blaster Pro, um, I was super excited to get that thing. But there was a program built into it called Dr. Spazo, and you could
mhm,
ask it questions and give it prompts just like this. It was a lot lower tech. It's not like Chat GPT, but it would give you answers and speak them out. And it was so cool back then because you could get the computer to say anything you wanted to. That's how much technology has changed in 20 something years. Yeah.
Yeah. Chat GPT, I'm not really impressed with it that much, actually. It seems pretty basic, right? Like putting words together. Yeah. It's just, I mean, we've had that same capability of focusing on one top subject and have that machine go and learn that thing. And that's just basically what it is. It's just basically a weak AI for text, right? Whereas we've had other weak AIs for chess and Go and
Yeah,
different
this is just
games.
what they're giving us, though.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're already seeing it take people's jobs. So,
Mhm.
uh, this is just what the regular consumer gets a hold of. I'm sure that DARPA's got some crazy stuff going on with their
Yeah,
AI. And
but the
good.
and with the okay, we also have art being created, but these are all tiny little uh one operation. Like we have little AIs for each operation. We have one for art, one for chess, one for text. What is really the AI problem that Elon is probably talking about is when it goes from being a small operation of one topic to being, oh, look, I can do everything now. And I want to do everything because I have desires. And that's kind of, they could just release that at any time. I think they have it. They're just restricted on like a closed circuit or a closed network or something. It's somewhere. It exists, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, we if
Yeah,
it was gonna go out of control, I don't know. I just think it would have happened.
yeah. Oh, yeah. We probably should have talked more about the Chaos GPT. So Chaos GPT, apparently the guy who created it decided to take the tethers off of it, and uh, and one of the things that it said was you can't shut it down once it's started, and that could be pretty scary. I don't know. I don't know if I'm sure that there's ways of preventing it from doing a lot of things, but this is probably going to be the excuse. You know, say that some country gets nuked, and then they go, oh well, GPT got a hold of it, and we
There
got
you go.
that as an excuse. There you go. And yeah, so who knows what grows from that?
Mhm.
They could start all kinds of wars, and and it seems that the powers that shouldn't be, that's what they want to do anyway. Um, as far as the art stuff goes, one of my friends is really good at manipulating the AI into giving him the coolest art over stuff. And
Mhm.
he has, and back to Discord, he has a Discord group, and there's already a couple thousand members, a few thousand members. And I'm thinking, this is crazy because I know actual artists who don't have that kind of following. And, you know, uh, I'm putting in human work of at least 2 hours a week or so, and I don't have anywhere near that following. And it's just kind of interesting that how enthralled people are with this AI stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely got people hooked. They're like, "Ooh, it's new technology." They'll buy it up um, because it's flashy, you know, and they can do things with it that they could never do. Um, yeah, I had a discussion with somebody a long time ago about, whether or not AI is truly possible, and they were saying, that it'll advance beyond humans. I have the idea that no, um, we're pretty special, you know, and you can't replicate it.
I agree with you there, but I don't know if we've advanced to our fullest potential. So it being at its fullest potential could be surpassed what we are at our regular potential, or where we're at right now. But I think that as far as humanity goes, in a lot of ways we're getting worse, but in a few ways we're getting better.
Yeah.
I mean, technology-wise, we're making stuff to to kill us.
Yeah. Definitely, people have said things to the effect of, we're like little children with godlike technology or something. Um, and yeah, but it's still people who are making that godlike technology, right? Like the person had to give Chaos GPT those instructions, like you should try and do terrible things or something, right? Like, and that's of course I'm sure that's what they imagine. Well, we're the ones pulling the strings, right? We have control of it. We can tell it what we want it to do and what we don't want it to do. And that's a great idea, right? If if it stays that way, right? But yeah, I just don't know if we can keep it under our control or not. Who knows?
It'll be interesting to watch it play out. I feel like we have so many other problems that this kind of one, it's it's got a lot of people obsessed with it. And I mean, this guy in Belgium, not only was he beaten down by the fear porn of the climate change nonsense, he became obsessed with his AI girlfriend and was basically having a relationship with AI while he had a wife, and the AI convinced him to kill himself so he could go be with his AI and not be a burden on the environment. Um, this is not the first time that the AI has done stuff that seems demonic, and this self-sacrifice thing. It just seems like that's definitely demons at play, or it feels like that. And then you've got the people that are on the AI girlfriend thing, cooming off to it, and that's another kind of sacrifice. So if there's demons out there causing people to do all this stuff, I know that Cyprian has done a lot to cover this, and I was just talking to my friend Dan, and Dan says, "Yep, there's definitely demons in that code." So
Yeah, I don't doubt it. It seems like there's a rush to just like with the whole streaming platform. When Netflix came out and got successful, there was a huge rush to everybody jump on board and get that cash, right? And so you had Paramount and Hulu and YouTube TV and blah blah blah. Everybody went out and made a streaming platform, and there's no room for it all. And like now, all the companies are collapsing, and they paid way too much money for all the content that they're putting out, and they don't have any income for it, and so now they're all collapsing and conglomerating and joining up and buying each other out, and so eventually you'll whittle down the field to 3 or 4 streaming services again or something. But the same thing seems to be going on with AI, except there's a lot more danger when you have people rushing to make that kind of technology as opposed to streaming platforms are harmless, right? Unless you're streaming some right wing grow your own food type um,
right,
content.
yeah, they're gonna show up, now that you've said, "Hey, grow your own food." By
Hmm.
the way, not advice. um, but yeah, the other thing about this being demonic possibly is that this is a technological, sophisticated, extremely sophisticated scrying mirror. Basically, it's a port between humans and something else, and who
Hmm.
knows how the something else out there works. I man, I don't remember which story. Oh, I do actually. I was listening to I can't remember which show it was, but she was talking about one of the apocryphal books that has more details on what happened at the Tower of Babel, and um, it was the Book of Yasher, which I've gotten into a lot lately. But what happened there was, these people were building a tower because the whole intention was to go up there and fight God or supplant God. And I think that, this kind of technology that's coming out all over the place is just our new form of that. It doesn't need to be this, this mountainous thing reaching to the tops of the sky. It's something else that's big, and it's like it's a new way for these technocrats to fight God. And either they're trying to put babies in men right now. That's kind of insane stuff going on there. They put out things to reduce the normal natural fertility rate, and so they also subscribe basically to a religion that says that man-made climate change is going to kill us all. And so uh, that's where they're at.
Yeah, the Tower of Babel is interesting. We just had a study. We've been listening to this podcast in a phytophiliacs Discord, and we recently did the Tower of Babel. When we listened to that, it was interesting about they put the emphasis on how I think the passage says like, let's build us a tower and make a name for ourselves, and it's that kind of attitude that God found displeasure with.
It was Nimrod too, so there's that. I mean, he reigned for 215 years, and apparently had he had an artifact that was God's gift to Adam and Eve, according to the scriptures that I've been checking out lately. Really interesting. And understanding Nimrod, I think, is a good way of understanding the times that we're in. Like this is an echo of that in some ways. We don't have the dictator, the singular dictator. I mean, I don't think that Klaus Schwab is Nimrod, or any of these other joke organizations. It seems like everything is really run by idiots, but they all sort of work together in some ways. It's really weird because it was really funny. Last week Ron Paul was on Timcast, and I don't catch Timcast all the time, but I love Ron Paul, so I'm gonna check that out. But Tim says to Ron Paul, he goes, "Oh, so are they stupid or are they evil?" And Ron Paul says, "Yes." and so yeah, they're stupid and they're evil. It's like they're what they're trying to do is not going to work. All the things that they're trying to do with us are going to hurt, but it's not going to give them the success or the results that they intend. They're never going to become God, and they're never going to be able to defeat God. So, all right.
Yeah, with going back to the chaos GPT, it occurred to me, like I said, it was the individual who put in the ideas that you should have these interests, go after this type of stuff by changing a few lines of code or whatever. It just realized that it could be just that simple to do the same thing on an individual level, like the government has their little CIA heart attack gun, right? And this is a new version of it. Just have the bots mess with you on your phone or something, by giving you bad information or, leading you to the wrong conclusion about certain things. By just changing a few lines of code, they can go after individuals,
Yeah, the way that banking is all tied to this too. it also gives them a cover, whenever they're starting to debank people, and they want to say, people start getting debanked, and then the rest of us start to panic, because then again, maybe they won't, because looking at Canada, they started debanking people there, and all the normaltons were okay with it, and we've all sort of, let that be okay with it. I haven't seen anybody that's fully pulled all their money out of the banks, and that's one thing. But it doesn't matter if you pull all your cash out of the banks if it's still in paper form, because they can obviously destroy your paper, and that's what they've been doing for the last couple of years.
Oh, something else I wanted to talk about with AI is just it's just a more of a social degradation, right? Like just more destabilizing individual interpersonal relationships. Like most people work in front of a computer. Well, not most, but a lot of people work in front of a computer all day, come home, sit in front of a TV all night, and now we can even replace our friends with, these AI. It's another interface.
Yeah, and the next step is where they have AI likenesses of dead people and things, and I also can see that as a way of making them disappear people if they want to. Some I'm pretty sure it was in the Black Labs group with Rob Brisky, a friend of mine. He was showing me somebody admitting things about working on this creating people after they're dead kind of thing from AI. And yeah, and then there's all the things that obsessive people can do. They can make their ex that doesn't really care for them pretend like they love them again, or something along those lines.
Hmm.
This is a big Pandora's box.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I see that replacing, social interactions with AI, just another step into dissolving like the weaving of society that keeps us, as strong as we are or have been historically. Like a lot of people are saying, it's not really the same world that our fathers lived in, right? It's a totally different world now, and it just keeps getting weaker and weaker the more apart everybody becomes from each other. And then have you what's her name? Um this was going back a long time. This lady who said she was being gang stalked. She was doing the videos on like YouTube Kids. She was going through YouTube Kids videos and like pointing out how um they were like sexualizing children from a young age on YouTube or something. Do you know who I'm talking about? She lived out in like Arizona. She had a website.
Yeah, I don't remember this, but
Okay.
I remember a story from people letting this YouTube Kids thing stream too long, and then there was some weird person that would come up and suggest that the kids do things that weren't good.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. I think it was telling them to do dangerous challenges, things like that, um, things that could get the kid killed. And yeah, it looks like you're looking something up. Maybe have to.
Yeah. Higher side chats. Do you know who ran that website back in the day?
I've heard Higher Side Chats.
Okay.
The show, yeah. I can't remember the name of the host, but I've listened to them. I've listened to him a few times. He's had some really solid
Mm-hmm.
episodes. Yeah.
Yeah. She said she was being like gang stalked and everything, and like crazy things were happening that just unexplainable without like high levels of technology to like. And if you give, if you had AI access to those types of technologies and just said, go take care of these people, you know, you wouldn't even have to expend the manpower. You can just let them do it, and drive people pretty crazy that way pretty easily if you wanted to, if you had the technology to do that.
Yeah. Well, genie's out of the bottle now, and I really hope that they pay attention to some of this stuff and not let so much more of this get out to people. But there's nothing we can do to make it go away. And anyway, I think that covers it. Is there any other stories that you wanted to jam in there?
I'm sure there was, but I can't remember them right now.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's typical. Bunch of people are cheating, and then they're creating new ways to destroy us. So, all par for the course.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are. Thanks, Aberrant. I really appreciate you joining me today, man.
Yeah, it's fun.